Angry guy here, and women are shocked that society is collapsing without men. Women are shocked that society is collapsing without men. Guys, I've said this before that nothing lasts forever. Let's check out this video.
Guys, another vision that I saw last night that I want to share with you. So in my vision last night, I saw Noah's Ark floating on the water. So that could also indicate that there could be some sort of water that we have to face in the future. And also, after I saw Noah's Ark, I suddenly saw a bunch of cars and transportation being crashing each other and or together, and then they were just floating on the water. So you know when you say flood or tsunami and then all those water were just floating. So what I saw was all the transportation, they were kind of like on the cliff of the waterfalls. It's like, you know, when there is a tsunami or like a flood and all the stuff will go to where the water is flowing and they will just go there, and then it will follow to the direction of where the water is flowing. And then that's what I saw, and all the cars were falling down from the cliff. And remember how in the Bible, after Noah's flood, there were a lot of like people scattering all over because, of course, they got drowned in the flood. But this time, it's not people, it's cars and all transportations. And my advice to you guys, don't buy an expensive car just to show off to other people, especially your friends and family, thinking that, oh my God, look at me, I have very expensive cars. Because at the end of the day, you know where your car is going to be. So just think about it. You might as well buy cars that can take you to and fro rather than buy car for the sake of making other people jealous.
You know, guys, I agree so much with what she's seeing here. Society is collapsing around us right now. And, this is a Filipina. She's actually, pretty big in the Passport King community. Modern women are the only reason why fools are going out there and buying expensive cars still. When I see these idiots on social media, showing off their girlfriend's ring and saying, "Oh, this thing costs $30,000. This thing costs $50,000, and she deserves even more than this." I think to myself, this is absolute nonsense. There is no woman who should, if a woman is a good woman, she should, under no circumstance, want a man to buy her a ring that costs this much. And usually before people get married, they discuss these things. And sometimes the woman will, they'll ask, what kind of ring do you want? You know what a good woman would say? Something that is affordable, something that won't cost a lot. You know, literally, I'm okay with $1,000 ring. Heck, I'm even okay with a $500 ring. That is the right answer. That is 100% the right answer. Okay? This notion that women are competing with one another, showing off expensive rings, that's not a flex. You know what's a flex? Having a home, having a roof over your head. That's a flex. Being able to drive a decent car, not having excessive amounts of debt, not having to worry about where your next meal is coming from, not living paycheck to paycheck. That's, women in Western society, they are nothing like women were in the past. Back in those days, this is the hands down truth. You go back 100 years ago, and women 100 years ago were, and a lot of women are gonna, a lot of dudes will jump on me and say this isn't true. It's 100% true. Women 100 years ago were a lot more, and you're gonna say this isn't wrong. They knew a lot more than women today. And it's not just women, it's men too. But women back then, specifically talking about women, they were academically and this is my true belief, they were academically better than women in modern society, despite the fact that all of these women are earning college degrees. Women back in the past, they took things like home economics. They knew how to run a household. They understood accounting, basic accounting. These women could do calculations in their heads. You think I'm joking? If you go back to the 50s and 60s, you had a lot of women who were involved in mathematics. Even if you go back to the 1800s, you had women who were involved in mathematics. And these women back then are way different from women today. Like they actually understood things like statistical models. They were doing calculations just like bare hand. I mean, they were very, very different. Women who were serious about this and actually were involved. And a lot of these women were also housewives, you know, and it's just very, very different. Back then, women were much more practical and realistic. The biggest flex back then was, look, I have a roof over my head. Look at my kitchen. Look at the appliances that I have. We have a nice car in our driveway. We're not living paycheck to paycheck. We are not, that was a flex. Modern day women, I've said this countless times, they do not like men. They don't like us. I mean, they don't like us so much that they're at this point where they'll tell us straight up, do not even apply. Do not even apply. If Don't speak to me if you don't make at least this much money. And if you're going overseas and looking for a woman overseas, then you're doing something wrong because they're not getting what they're supposed to be getting. You're taking advantage of them. Because if you were such a baller, you should be able to get any baddie in America. And here's the thing, men in America don't want these women, and they cannot accept it. Women in Western society cannot accept the fact. They will never, ever accept the fact that they are being rejected. Because they're basically saying that they're rejecting men, and the reason why so many women are now single is because they're all rejecting men and so forth. Here's the truth. They don't realize that men are now rejecting them. Okay? Because a man has to go and speak to a woman. A man has to say, will you marry me? A man has to initiate these things because the man is the provider. And women refuse to even acknowledge that they are being rejected, and men are replacing these people from Western society with women overseas, or they're choosing not to get married, have children, or have relationships at all. Right now, 98% of men are no longer getting married. 98% of men are no longer getting married. And the birth rate has plummeted. It has plummeted, absolutely plummeted over the last several years. And it's only going lower. And it's like they're just completely unstoppable. They're women in Western society are completely disconnected from the reality around us. They expect, the expectations that they have for men. Basically, they don't even know what they're conveying to men. They're conveying to men that we don't like you. We just want you for your money. We're going to shame you and insult you, put you down. Like back guys, like years ago, when they call the Incels, the INCELs, those were a specific group of men who had issues that they had trouble finding. They basically said that they had given up and they could not. No one wanted them and so forth. Now and usually and these guys, to be very clear, these were a specific group of guys. They were usually skinny or very overweight. They were not successful in the workforce, so a lot of them, they weren't very well in their careers. They were not striving to do it better in life. It was a pattern of behavior. For example, they don't go to the gym. They don't take care of themselves. They don't eat well. They don't live well. They don't. They're not working on their finances. Yeah, I mean, it was a pattern of behavior. And now you have women basically saying that if a man says that he doesn't want to marry or have children, she and the simps will call him one of them. But what about, so if you're rejecting relationships, oh, you're one of these people. You don't want to have children, you're one of these people. You're talking about the things that women are doing in society, you're one of these people. Like now they just use it as a shaming tactic where they try to lump all men into this. there's so many guys like it just it's just kind of gross. Like when you see like there's so many guys like and I have a lot of these guys on my channel that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. Some guys like let's say we'll say, hey Angry, I make $50,000 a year, but I have about $150,000 between investments and savings, and it's only growing, and I'm only in my mid 20s, those are young people. Then I have guys who are like, hey Angry, I make let's say $6,000 to $7,000 a month, and I have $500,000 just sitting in the bank, and I own my home, and I have no expenses, I have no debts, very low expenses. I can live. My food bill is like some cases $1,000 a month. Some people are lower than that, and these are the men that women don't want. And it's just like I've already said this before. Like it's frightening, it's scary, it's so scary in Western society right now. It's frightening when a guy that is pulling in anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 a month and has $500,000 in savings is viewed as a plan D guy by women in Western society. Like they view you as a plan D guy. Like you are pretty much a plan D guy for a lot of these women. Some women will call them a plan C, but a lot of women will view these guys as a plan D. Imagine having $500,000 in savings, pulling in $7,000 a month, and a woman sees you as a plan D guy. Plan D. Not even plan B, plan D. And they look down upon you. And then they wonder why men are completely walking away from Western society. Because men, first off, the notion that a man is supposed to go out there and make all of this money so that a woman will accept him is ridiculous. Previously, a woman would look at your characteristics. This is what they're supposed to look at, not your money. Your money is not supposed to be what attracts a woman. A woman is supposed to look at a variety of different things when she selects a man. She looks at his character. His character is the first thing that she's supposed to look at. Then, of course, she looks at the fact that is he a good provider? Because it's more than just love. We need to be able to have stability in the relationship. So those are important factors. But to say that, oh, I'm only going to date a millionaire and for example, a woman should be able to attest very quickly whether or not a man is able to provide, and his money should not be something she even talks about. Like, oh, how much money do you make? I'm only going to date you if you make this amount of money. And don't expect me to cook or clean or even take care of you. If you're sick, you need to go to the hospital. Okay? You are not a baby. You are a grown man. I'm not your mommy. But you need to provide for me and protect me and do everything for me that my father did and then some. There's a video on social media of a woman complaining that a man took her out to eat to a nice, expensive restaurant where she was purchased steak, and the waiter brought the steak to the table. The steak was already cut for her, and she was complaining that the man did not cut the steak further for her. Because she said that, the steak was cut first by the restaurant, but the man is supposed to take the extra step to cut the steak for her afterwards. Y'all, they don't like us. If you're enjoying the content, help get the channel to 100,000 subscribers by subscribing to the channel if you already haven't, liking the video, and turning on notifications to never miss another video ever again. Women are shocked that society is collapsing without men. What do you guys think regarding this? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, so let's talk about it there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.